Softness to me, it really was going back to my authentic self before I experienced trauma or abuse or rape and, just rejection. I feel like life has a way of hardening you and making you feel like you have to match everybody's energy or you have to have walls up in order to protect yourself. But I found that resting in God's grace and going back to who God has created me to be, I was able to be full of joy and love and peace and get back to that soft woman that God created me to be. It was me and my daughter's relationship because I was a young mom at 17 and I went through a lot of abuse and she was there. And so we kind of had just this unspoken hurt between us. So it was through counseling. We were able to talk through some of my pain, some of her hurt, and come to an understanding that we're not enemies and that if I don't give her the love, then she's gonna have to look for it somewhere else. So God is my source for that, and God has given me so much direction. Other than family counseling, we do a lot of that, and me and my kids, we just, we're always going to the park. I'm a very fun person, so we're always having fun. We're going to the park, we're doing new adventures, and they come with me. So I just made a choice in my mind that we're not waiting for anything to happen in order for us to be happy or for us to be a whole or a complete family, and that we're gonna live our lives, travel and do everything without a male figure until that day comes. You don't want to become a mother or only be a good mother if you have a man around. I think that's why sometimes women end up giving up on their children or walk away. So, just be your best self. So you have to heal. You can't, hold on to any anger or bitterness because your kids will be they will be affected. What I learned is if you ever realize, I'm not connecting with my children, you have to be honest with yourself and you need to get help. Don't let that connection be unfulfilled forever, because that's how trauma gets passed down. I'm really big on boundaries because before dealing with all the trauma, I had no boundaries. And when you don't have boundaries, you overstep others' boundaries. So it wasn't until I started to go to counseling and realize certain things were triggering me, which caused me to have anxiety, which caused me to be afraid, and realizing what those things are so that I don't stay in a consistent state of fear. It's your job to say, I don't like the way that you make me feel and you're no longer gonna do this to me. So it's not being aggressive, but it's just having a standard and being okay if you have to be alone. To be honest, that's where I got my boundaries from, was understanding God's love for me. God is patient. God doesn't abuse you. God doesn't tear you down. And so I compare it to that. If that's how we should love each other, and that's what love should look like for me. My pursuit is holiness. Holiness isn't going to church every single day and singing. It's the way you treat others, the way you make people feel, the things that you do, not, sinning and making it okay, so that's, I don't want to say it's anything of self, because when we are walking in our own truth, we lie to ourselves. Oh, it's not that bad. Oh, this, but it is that bad. And the wages of sin are death. And so you can't walk in death and think that you're going to be able to prosper as a mother or as a person. When you're in a community that's broken, you have to realize that you might have to be the first, and that's painful. And so for me, I've learned is I have embodied suffering, and I've learned that my own desires are going to lead me down a dark path. So be okay with suffering and knowing that doing the right thing is lonely. I don't think there's any way to be a successful mother or person without God.